If I look across our 7,000 pads that we bought, the average rent is somewhere in the range of $225 to $250, and the market is $450 plus. We were buying single-family homes in Oakland for like $180,000.
Let the listeners know what those homes would be worth now.
800.
800.
Yeah. If you do the right things and you fix up the community and put new roads in, and we like to put playgrounds in, we like to put solar lighting in, the residents have no reason that they're ever going to want to leave. From the bird's eye perspective, it kind of looks like, hey, you're just renting spaces, so it should be operationally pretty easy. It's basically like we have 106 communities. It's like owning 106 businesses. Operationally quite intensive.
Oh. Welcome to another edition of Lifetime Cash Flow through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Khleif, and I'm thrilled you're here. And I know you're going to get tremendous value from the gentleman I'm interviewing today. His name's Sam Hales, and he hails from Knoxville. Sorry, I couldn't resist. He's in the mobile home park space. And you might be thinking, why are we talking about mobile home parks on a multifamily podcast? Well, you know, actually, mobile home parks are multifamily if you get right down to it. But I love the asset class, and he's been involved in lots of other asset classes as well, which we're going to talk about. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. Welcome to the show, brother.
Okay, Rod, glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's have some fun. So awesome. Why don't you give us a little background in your words? You know, why real estate, when you got into real estate, you know, some of the things you've done. And let's start there.
So I'm sure probably all your listeners are familiar with Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Of course.
My dad was, and no offense, Dad, but he was poor dad. I mean, orthopedic surgeon. When I decided right after college to buy my first house, he vehemently tried to talk me out of it. Said he'd lost money every time he bought and sold a house, which was true. I just figured it could be different. And so it kind of started with that first house, and my wife and I were swinging.
Where was this? Forgive me.
This was in kind of the outskirts of the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like Fairfield, if you know that area at all. So anyway, so we this home, we tore carpets out, and we were, you know, on our hands and knees refinishing floors and all the rest of it, and kind of forced equity on that property, and then saw how well we did there, and then started kind of buying single family homes. I was in the tech industry in the Bay Area.
In the Bay Area. Okay.
So kind of doing that as the main job, and then like
and
a lot
when
of
was
people,
this? What year?
Let's see. So that would have been, we bought that home in 2001.
Okay.
So it's been a little bit.
So you bought some real estate up to the crash. How'd you fare in the crash?
We had bought and sold mostly, so I really only had like 3 homes at that point.
Because California got crushed.
So
I got crushed.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely got crushed. So, and then we had really, a lot of it had been this sort of, you know, forced depreciation where we were you know, renovating and putting a bunch of
kind of flipping is what you were doing basically.
Yeah, we would exit with a lease option.
Oh, okay.
Kind of how
I did a ton of that.
Okay,
ton of that.
Yeah. So that's what we were doing. Anyway, and really kind of whet the appetite for doing more. Went and got an MBA, and my sole purpose in doing that, I was really focused. I wanted to start a private equity real estate fund when I got out, and was able to do that. And that was in 2010, and basically right after, you know, the crash.
Were you able to raise money then?
Yeah.
Really?
So it was interesting because my partner, who I went to MBA school with, was from China. And so it was actually a Chinese national company that wanted to put money in the U.S.
Oh, no kidding. So that's how you got your first seed funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody here had their asses handed to them.
That's right.
And nobody wanted to invest in anything, which is, you know, obviously counterintuitive. Yeah. I mean, if I hadn't been hiding under a rock, I'd be on the back of a 300-foot yacht right now. But the opportunities were incredible back then.
It was crazy. I mean,
so what were you buying back then?
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, we were buying single family homes in Oakland for like $180,000. You know, I mean, just like we didn't. I mean, just everybody thought like the market would never come back. Let the listeners know
what those homes would be worth now.
800.
800.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Actually, they might be down a little bit right now. So 800 2 years ago.
Wow.
But I mean, we were just looking at it and saying, well, look, if we can rent this for $2,200 a month, like the cash on cash, regardless of what the value is, right? Because there needed to be price discovery. We were just looking at those multiples and figuring, hey, you know, just the cash flow alone, even if it never went up in value, made it a worthwhile investment. So that's kind of where I started.
That's where you started. All right. Well, then, I mean, I know You've done some industrial, some office. Let's talk about each one of those. Talk about the industrial stuff. I'm actually love the industrial space. One of my warriors just closed on a 150,000 square foot building.
Interesting.
And they're home run, major home run. I just interviewed them actually on my other segment of my podcast, which is just my warriors. But talk about your experience.
Yeah. So basically, all those things that on their industrial, some office, boutique hotel, that was all me trying to figure out what I wanted to do after the single family homes. So the industrial went fine.
Okay. What type did you do?
Yeah,
just
this
curious.
was a single tenant, but it was basically a huge warehouse for garden or irrigation supplies.
Gotcha.
So
already rented or
already rented.
Already rented.
Yep.
So you just bought a stable asset. Basically,
Exactly.
Is what
Well,
you did.
and we were able to buy it distressed. So this was like 2012 or so. So I mean, it turned out to be a great deal. We did the same thing. It was a lease with an option to buy back to the tenant. So pretty secure, pretty safe.
Wow,
but,
interesting. Okay.
But that was like one industrial deal.
You didn't love it. You didn't love it, so you moved on. You did some
not
office.
enough,
Thank God you're not in office now.
Oh my gosh.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we sold the large office building that we had in Northern California. And that sale went through about 3 years ago, and I thank my lucky stars.
No kidding.
That we
my
got
God,
out
you know
of
what
that.
the Bay Area right now? I think it's sub 60% occupied. The whole freaking Bay Area.
Yeah, it's
office.
incredible.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
I mean, I keep talking about a crash here, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, but I actually think we're headed for a real, what. And
I think you're right.
And I mean, a third of all commercial real estate debt is held by small and regional banks.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
that is the problem.
Well, that's not just the problem. That could be a really big problem if they fail.
Right.
And luckily now I've got most of my money in a bank that spreads the money across 80 banks and only puts like $249 in each bank, so they're covered by FDIC. There's banks that'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, thank God you're out of office. Hospitality, was that the boutique hotel?
Still own that.
Still have that. Where?
Yeah, that's up in Auburn, California, which is kind of between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe.
Oh, nice.
Real nice area.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's just a fun thing.
It's just a fun thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make that much money.
No?
To be honest, yeah.
But still cool. You have a boutique hotel. That's still cool.
Yeah,
okay.
it's still
all right. Well, let's get to the bell of the ball here. Mobile homes. What got you going into mobile home communities?
So after kind of this run with the single family homes, of course, prices went up quite a bit from where we bought them in
post
2011, 2012, and that sort of thing. And I suppose that was great, but as a business model, it wasn't great because now what we were looking for, which is the cash flow, was hard to come by.
Not in single family. Ask me how I know. That's one of my catchphrases. We give T-shirts away that say #Ask me how I know at my boot camps.
Okay.
And that's one of them because I've owned 2,000 houses.
Yeah.
And they don't cash flow.
Yeah.
They just don't. You know, individual taxes, individual insurance. You have a turnover. You can lose 2 years worth of cash flow.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, so,
well, and just the inefficiency of
the
traveling from one roof to another roof. And so that was really kind of where I started as far as look, I need to find something that's more efficient where I go to a property and I can see more than just one or two houses.
Right.
And obviously some people have solved that by, these build for rent communities.
Right. Which is kind of cool. I actually, the model is kind of cool.
Yeah. But to me, the other thing I was worried about is just economic downturn. Again, this is like 2017.
Sure.
We've had a nice run since then for sure. But, well, we can get into that more later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
But anyway, so I was looking for something that was going to be relatively recession resilient. And as I started doing research, I came across mobile home communities, and come to find out, I had heard that the two major REITs that own mobile home communities, ELS and Sun, that since they had been listed, which at that point had been almost 20 years, they had positive same-store NOI growth every single quarter. They just became more profitable quarter over quarter. And I was able to get some data and verify that was true. Because that's like, they were listed in 1998, I think, both of them. Over that 20 years, you had the dot-com bust, you had the Great Recession.
Right.
There was a chattel crisis in the manufactured housing industry as well.
Oh, there was. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And so through all of these, to exhibit every single quarter growing profitability from the quarter before, that sounded astounding to me.
Right.
And so that was really, I think, one of the big things that
got you going
triggered
there.
me to say, hey, look, let me dig into this, see what this is all about. I really knew nothing about it at the time.
So where'd you buy your first community?
Bought the first one in Northern California.
Oh,
wanted
no
to be
kidding.
close to home.
Wow.
That is
big?
the only
Size?
community we've sold. It was about 62 units,
spaces.
I believe.
Yeah, just so you know, in the space, you do not want less than 50 because you can't have on-site management. I mean, maybe now with rents gone up, maybe you can have a little less than that, but that's about the minimum, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the only one you've sold. What other states do you have communities in?
Most of ours are in either the Southeast or parts of the Midwest. So
Okay.
big state for us is North Carolina. That's actually our biggest state.
Love North Carolina.
South Carolina's pretty big.
Wow.
Georgia's big.
Nice.
Alabama's big. We have 6 communities in Florida as well, mostly kind of northern Florida. Closest one to you would be Lakeland. We have a park there. Love that park. And then we're in, like I said, Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and then over to Texas.
Oh, you've got a big
as well.
portfolio. Good
Yeah,
for you.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about why we love mobile home, because I love mobile home parks too. I just got wrapped up in multifamily, and you know, there's only one of me to go around. If there was 2, I would definitely be sitting where you're sitting doing what you're doing, because I love the communities. And I just got sidetracked with apartment complexes, and I love that too. But I absolutely love the asset class. Like I was telling you before we started recording, I was going to get into it in a big way, and I'd hired 6 VAs and had mapped the whole country, because a lot of mobile home parks are misclassified in the county records. And so I would have these VAs fly around on Google Earth and look for the mobile home parks. They'd geocode them. Then we'd find who the owners were. We'd got their phone numbers. We got their mailing addresses, and we were all ready to go. And then I changed my mind, and
I might need to buy that list from
you.
Yeah,
that's funny, because I actually I can't say publicly what I did with that list. Anyway, so let's talk about why you love it.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean,
let me count the ways.
This is my favorite topic for sure. And probably part of it, we could kind of compare it to other sectors of real estate,
sure.
but well, for example, one of the things is you've got a very sticky resident base, a very sticky tenant base. I mean,
you don't find any stickier than that, because they want to move. They have to take their home with them.
Yeah.
And it's not eat cheap or easy.
That's right. I mean, I like referring to what we do as a land lease community, because I actually think it explains the business model a little better.
Agreed.
We own the land and they're renting the land, but it's their home. It's a partnership between you and the resident. If you do the right things and you fix up the community and put new roads in, and we like to put playgrounds in, we like to put solar lighting in.
Oh, nice.
The residents have no reason that they're ever going to want to leave. If you make it a community that's nice and that they can see progress and they can see that you're going to maintain it, they're never going to want to leave. Even if they leave, their home's not going to leave, and they're going to turn around and sell their home to kind of the next person. You're not going to miss a beat. You're not going to miss a payment. Like every single month that the rent is going to get paid. I mean, that's very unusual across any sort of real estate.
Agreed.
Another thing is I don't know any other type of real estate where you can almost programmatically buy significantly below market rent property. So if I look across our 7,000 pads that we bought, the average rent is somewhere in the range of $225 to $250.
Yeah. And
the market is $450 plus.
At least.
At least. Yeah. $450
for
plus.
a rental.
Yeah.
Now, and the other thing is, and I don't know how aggressive you are with 225. Boy, that's low.
It is.
It is. You don't push that envelope at all, because you can, obviously, because you've got pretty considerable leverage. Now you've got to have integrity, obviously, and some compassion and all that. But our mutual friend who we were talking about before we started recording, I know he made the cover of a paper up there and got slammed because he raised some rents. Were you aware of that?
No, but it happens, and that's, to me, that's one of the biggest risks in the industry is actually kind of the bad press. So we're very cognizant, and we're very careful about that.
Well, even the way you're describing it as a partnership and things, I mean, that's I get it, and that's smart, and when you come at it really from that angle, and you take care of people, and you make the place look nice, and you make it a community where people want to be there, and then you know, it makes all the difference in the world. Now, if you would explain the model, because I mean, I know it, but my listeners may not. So you may go in and buy a community.
Yeah.
And it may have a lot of park-owned homes.
Few H's,
right?
Yep.
Okay. And they're typically in horrible condition because, you know, this is the lowest demographic typically as far as a renter goes. You know, you've heard the expression, you mess with me, you mess with the whole trailer park. Yeah, that's the, but anyway, I'm just trying to be funny, failing miserably. But anyway, that, when you buy a community like that, talk about what you do, because that's kind of the business model. Yeah,
no, it's if there was a way to invest in mobile home parks and not invest in mobile homes,
right?
I mean, everybody would be buying mobile home parks, right? That is the hard part of the business, for sure. I'll give you an example. So we bought a community in Fayetteville, North Carolina, not far from Greenville, where we have a huge portfolio, and we paid $80,000 a pad. We'd never pay that much in our lives before. Lot. The reason is that every single one of those pads had a brand new home on the pad. And they were all rented. They were all park-owned homes. So actually it's like, okay, well, we're buying $80,000 a pad, but you know, what's the value of these homes? Well, we bought it 3 years ago when home prices had escalated significantly. And the guy that had kind of developed it, you know, he'd bought these homes for like $22,000 each. We knew at that point for us to go out and install new homes, we were probably looking at $55,000.
50, 60 grand.
Yeah. So now we're paying $25,000 for each fully occupied lot. Those fully occupied lots are probably worth $65,000.
Gotcha.
Anyway, but what we do is we go and then we figure out, okay, hey, we've got all these homes that are getting rented out. Hey, the cash flow is pretty good, but it's not going to last forever. If you keep them as park-owned homes, don't put a cap rate on those homes, because they're not made to have a new renter every year.
Explain why.
They
get beat up.
They do. They get beat up, and they're not made. I don't want to say they're not made that well. They're not made as well as a stick-built home.
Well, no, they're nowhere near made as well as a stick-built home. I mean,
2x4 exteriors instead of 2x6 is all the
sometimes rest. Even like maybe not 2x4. Just to digress for a second. Back, probably 20 years ago, I bought some waterfront lots down in Punta Gorda here on direct access canals out to the ocean. Okay, out to the Gulf of Mexico. 50 grand a piece. I'm like, why isn't anybody buying these things? So I bought like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them, and I bought some prefabbed homes to put on them. But these were nice, okay? I mean, they weren't like something you'd see in a mobile home community. In fact, we hinged the roofs, so when they came together, it was a higher pitched roof, so it looked like stick built. And then we stuccoed it. But man, I walked in and their floors were spongy. And it was like, man, I'm not doing this. And so I backed out. But anyway, back to the why you wouldn't want to keep park-owned homes, because they wear out.
They do. They wear out. So you know, you can have those brand new homes and you can kind of rent them out for 2 or 3 years, and it's like, hey, this is great. But then things start breaking, and suddenly when you're turning those units, you, instead of spending $500, you're spending $2,000 or more. And all of a sudden that erases, you know, kind of like we were talking about with other turnover, single family. I'd come from that world. I didn't want to be in that world. So that basically what we do is we're gonna sell off those homes
to the people that are in them. To the people that are, and you'll finance them and everything, correct?
That's right.
That's right. So that's how it's done, guys. I mean, you know, let's say they're paying $225 in lot rent. Well, you finance that $60,000 or $80,000 home for them, and you give them a decent interest rate, and they pay a down payment typically, correct? I'm guessing
that's correct.
You know, and so you finance that home, but then they're, first of all, you no longer own it, so you're no longer responsible for the maintenance, and they're going to hopefully take better care of it than if they didn't. If they were just renting.
They're going to be a better citizen of the community. Let me clarify one thing, Rod. So actually, when we buy a community and there's a lot of park-owned homes, what we find is that for whatever reason, the mom and pop seller, and this is, I can't think of an exception to this, but they will always have the lot rent low and the home rent high. Right. So your example, the lot rent will be $250 and the home rent will be $450.
Right.
You know, so it's the resident knows they're paying $700 a month. They're renting this place. We look at it and say, well, these are flipped. Like the lot rent should be $450. Let's we come in and we just kind of reallocate. Their payment maybe is still $700, right? But then we go to them and say, hey, you want to buy the house? Like your payment's only $250 or $300 a month.
Oh, got it. That's smart.
Further incentivizes them to buy the home.
And you've ramped your lot rent.
Yeah, and you've kind of instantly taken your lot rent to market without really impacting the residents too much.
You know, again, what's great about it is you really do have a tremendous amount of leverage that you wouldn't have for somebody just to pack up their bags and leave an apartment community because, you know, they can't. What's it cost to move a home typically?
I mean, it's
way
more than it was. You know, I mean,
7,000, 5,000.
Yeah, we used to say it was 5 or 7. It's more than that.
It's more than that now. Wow,
it really is because to get it, it's one thing to move it. So even if you're moving it across the street, like that might, maybe you get somebody to take their truck in and pull it over for $1,000, but you've got to hook up to the utilities again. You've got to reinstall skirting. You got to reinstall decking and
it's a lot.
It's 10,000 or more.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just not feasible. And so now the thing about mobile home communities is it's almost impossible to build new because nobody wants them in their backyard anymore. You know, and so, but I'm sure you would agree, especially with freaking inflation. You know, I'm single now, and I actually buy my own groceries. I'm like, $150 for that? Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah,
and you know, or takes $150 to fill up my truck. Yeah. I mean, how do people afford that, right? Yeah. And so, you know, you're in a demographic that, well, it's kind of a double-edged sword, though, I suppose, because that is the lowest economic demographic. So they're going to be heavily impacted by inflation.
Correct.
But they're able to live less expensively than like someone in one of my communities. Correct? Is that accurate?
In an apartment community?
Yeah, in an apartment community, yeah.
No, actually, that's one of the, a couple points there. So that's one of the things we look at is when we're looking to buy a mobile home community in a new area that maybe we're not as familiar with as much, we're less interested in what other mobile home communities are charging for lot rent, and we're more interested in like what is a 3-bedroom rental cost in this market, because there's not enough mobile home communities. So 9 times out of 10, if somebody's looking at your mobile home community, they're probably looking at other forms of housing, renting another single family home or apartment or something like that. And so if you think about it, when we talk about rent growth over the last, because it's been tremendous, right? The last 5 years or so, if you take a 10% rent growth in a lot of our markets on an apartment and you went from $1,500 and now you're at $1,650,
right?
Thanks for the help with the math. You're at $1,650. That's $150 more. Whereas, you know, we went from $350 to $400, and that's actually more than 10% maybe, but it's only $50.
Right.
And so actually what's happened over the last few years is the gap in affordability between manufactured housing and other alternative forms of housing has increased.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. Hell, we had 30% rent increase here in the Tampa MSA. By the way, MSA is Metropolitan Statistical Area. Would be a big geographic area like a Denver or a Phoenix or a Tampa. 30% rent growth 2 years ago was crazy.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, and so, so the other thing is, like, let's say they don't pay their rent, or their payment.
Right.
You evict them like you would a normal resident, correct?
Yes.
Yes, but and then you have to do something to take possession of the actual home, right? You have to do something.
That's right. I mean, we could almost think of it a little bit of a tree diagram or something, because basically, if somebody stops paying their rent, yes, you go through the standard, notices and that sort of thing in an eviction. If they own their own home, it gets a little complicated, a little messy, because if it's a nice home, maybe they figure out a way and they take their home with them, but likely they weren't paying their rent because they were paying their rent because they, for whatever reason, they couldn't. So a lot of times what happens is they're not bringing, it's an older home, They're not going to bring their home with them.
Right.
So now you've got this empty home. It's not your home.
Right.
At least not yet. And it's sitting on your lot, which you can't now rent to
What's
somebody
the
else.
process to take it over?
It depends on the state a little bit, but it's basically an abandonment process.
Okay. And what's the typical time frame in if you were to average it?
Couple
months?
again, it's going to be a little longer than that. It's more like 4, 5, 6 months.
That much?
Yeah.
Okay. Another question I have: do you find, since you don't pay attention to what other people are charging, do you ever find that other mobile home park communities will poach your homes?
Okay. Now I didn't. Maybe it came out wrong. I didn't want to say we don't pay attention to what other people are charging. We definitely do.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, what is more important to us?
Right. Gotcha.
Versus Jim Bob down the street. Yeah,
got
exactly.
it.
Is kind of, alternative.
But do you find, does that ever happen where they'll like poach your homes? Because I've heard that has happened in the past.
Like it can. And we've had it happen in a park that we own in Wichita, Kansas.
I see.
Wichita happens to have probably the highest percentage of mobile home parks of any
I didn't
place
know that.
in the country. Yeah,
I would think
whatever reason.
Freaking Lakeland, Florida, or Florida to Central Florida would be that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's actually Wichita, Kansas, and so we have a nice big community there, 300 something spaces next to another very big national operator, and what we call it papered the community. They came in, put flyers out like, hey, we'll move for free, and whatever, and we knew some people over there and let them know, look, if we want to do tit for tat, like we can do that. And we're like, we've got a team on the ground. Like we could be aggressive.
We go knock on doors. Yeah.
So they basically, rescinded it. And
okay. Yeah. Smart move. Smart move.
Yeah.
So
nobody wins there.
No, absolutely not. So what happens when you buy a community that has empty pads? Do you typically try to find used homes, or have you been bringing in new homes? I know Warren Buffett owns, what's the name of the company that makes them?
Clayton
Homes. Yeah, biggest, largest mobile home manufacturer.
Right up there. Yeah, because I'm in Knoxville.
And Warren's not a stupid guy.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is he involved with the REIT as well, or is it just the manufacturing? Maybe it's just the manufacturing.
Well, actually, I'm thinking of Jim Clayton. When Jim sold to Warren, Jim had a whole bunch of mobile home parks. He divested of all those, and that was a requirement that Warren Buffett had when he bought the company.
Oh, to get out of those those parks. Interesting. Yeah.
So
he's very conservative. So back to my question: do you buy new, or do you try to find used, or what do you do?
Yeah. So
both?
We like both. I mean, because there's certain people that they just can't. They'd be a great resident, but they can't qualify and can't pay for a new home.
I see.
But so last quarter, we did about 50 new homes.
Okay.
But a lot of we're still depending on when we bought certain parks, we're still working through some used home inventory. And so I'd say probably 3/4 of what we sell is still the used homes. Now sourcing used home has been difficult, because it's been a tight market.
Right.
That's starting to change.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, actually, right now we're working with a couple lenders that are starting to take back homes.
Oh, perfect.
And so,
perfect.
These are 3 and 4 years old, and
perfect.
that's actually it is absolutely
that's exciting, because they'll probably finance them as well,
and they provide the financing. So it's
there's gonna be a lot of that, guys. Just so you know, what he just said is that these lenders are taking back these modular homes, mobile homes, and they cannot afford to hold them on their books, so they will finance them. And that's going to happen in our business in the multifamily space as well. Just wait. This is one of the things I tell people in my boot camps is to build relationships with local banks and small and regional banks, not the big ones, not the BB&Ts or the B of A's or Chase or any of them, but the small and regional ones, because back in 09, 10, 11, a lot of people got deals that were financed by the lenders that they took back. And so it's a fantastic way to get into deals for low down. What does a new one cost these days, just out of curiosity? Single wide.
Single wide, kind of right above the very, very basic, would be around $50,000.
Greedy.
So
greedy, what? Wow, that's because they don't cost that much to build. No. I know lumber has gone up though. Yeah. I know I'm sure you've been to one of their factories, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool to see. I went to one when we were doing these homes down in Punta Gorda here, and just to see the kind of the assembly line of a home being built. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, but, it's they're really. Especially, Clayton, from what I've seen, a lot of automation that they're doing there.
Oh, really?
Oh,
wow.
Cool to kind of see that. Yeah.
Wow. I wonder, because of the the lack of the ability to build more of these communities.
Right.
What Warren's mindset was with the diminishing, I mean, maybe it's not diminishing, but my view that there possibly could be the diminishing need for these modular mobile homes.
No, I can talk about that a little bit. So, and you're right. Like every year, from what I've researched, there's more mobile home communities that get turned into Home Depot or whatever else versus new communities that are built. Some are built.
Really? It's rare though.
Yeah, it's mostly in Texas.
Oh, really?
To be honest, yeah.
Okay.
Get approved and built. And there's expansions that happen. We have a number of expansions that we're working on and that we've done. But the funny thing is, actually, 2/3, as I understand it, 2/3 or maybe even more of Clayton Homes and Champion, all the rest of them, of their business is a land home package.
Okay, so they're selling the land and the home.
It's and it's they may not even be selling the land.
Right.
They're just selling the home to a homeowner who owns a piece of land. Yeah. So that market I think is growing because
I actually have one of those. I own one of those in Orlando. It's just a remnant of my disaster in 2008 and 9. I've got one left that's a double wide home on a lot. And I think it's actually in Lake Wales. You know, it's funny. I did a speech at one of my friend Kevin Bupp, who you know really was one of my best friends. But he had me come speak at when he was selling training on how to buy mobile home parks. He actually had his own training program. He had me come speak to one of his events, and we went on a bus tour, and he went to I think it was like a 200 pad mobile home park that he owned, that he found by having a relationship with a residential real estate agent, and somebody had put that in the MLS for residential. And because, you know, if somebody, and this is a ninja trick, by the way, guys, okay? If you know you're going to buy in a market, have a relationship with a residential, like single family agent or broker, and let them know if anything ever hits that's multifamily, mobile home park or apartment complex. Because if someone owns one of these, they're going to go to a realtor not realizing that there's a difference between residential and commercial, and a residential agent sure as hell is going to take it because they get a commission.
Look at that fat commission.
Hello, and they haven't got a clue what to do with it. And so I just thought that was astounding.
Rod, so that has been our experience. That's our favorite place to buy.
No kidding.
So real quick anecdote on that.
Yeah.
We in this case it was a realtor who had at least had the knowledge to put it on. I think at the time it was LoopNet.
Oh, okay.
But we looked at the listing. We're like, I don't think they know what they're talking about. And it was in a market that we were interested in, Greenville, North Carolina.
Right.
Call up the realtor, and if I remember the conversation, I called him and he's like, "Man, I'm so glad you called." He said, I've got all these trailer parks that people want to sell, and I've got nobody that wants to buy them. Which, again, this is like 5 years ago.
And you're on a plane the next moment.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, I'll be there.
I'm on my way.
And we've got 13 communities in Greenville.
No kidding.
Most of them through him.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've sat on front porches with 85-year-old ladies,
I was gonna buy a mobile home park. I forgot where it was in Florida here, and I went to this seller's home, and his filing system was about a foot of paperwork on his desk. I'm like, oh good God. Yeah, I didn't end up doing it. I don't remember why, but
sounds familiar.
Let's talk about how to finance them. How do you finance a mobile home park? Because it's different than an apartment community. Now, I believe you can get conforming debt. You can get Fannie and Freddie debt, but it's got to have curbs and sidewalks and paved roads and probably city water and sewer and so on and so forth.
Well, no, Rod, we're actually going through that right now. So right as of today, and I had to think through this really. Yeah, we do not own any communities that are financed by Fannie or Freddie.
Wow.
So we've never bought a park that on the outset was conforming enough. Right. But we're now in the process, and we're about to close our first one the end of the month. It's a Fannie Refi. It's actually 3 parks. And you know what? They don't have curbs.
Really?
They don't have gutters either. They're on septic. I mean, some of the things that we all think about, like, wait, hold on. I thought you.
So So, I mean, I hate to ask you this publicly, but it's probably not the best time to be putting long-term debt on with the rates where they are. I'm just curious what your mindset on that is. Did you have some bad debt you needed to
No. Hey, I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay,
so
all right.
These are
because we can cut this out if you want.
Yeah. No. We're good.
Okay.
These are actually large cash out transactions.
Oh,
so,
they are. Okay.
Like I said, it's 3 parks. One of them seller financing of like a $300,000 note. The takeout loan is going to be like $1.5 million.
Okay.
Right.
All
So
right.
it's like, and yes, the rates are elevated.
Right.
I personally don't think they're going to come down any soon.
Yeah,
anytime soon.
I'll tell you. The head economist at Citi said that we're going to see 4 rate drops, but then you see today inflation's still through the moon.
Yep.
So what do you believe at this point? And and people are like 7%, 8%. And I love to say, when I started in this business in 1978, rates were 18%.
Exactly.
And now they're, and when they hit 7, we're like, holy crap, it's 7%.
Yeah.
But
and over time I think they have to come down just because the balance sheet of the federal government. But in the meantime, it's like, well, I don't know when and
right.
whatever. And it's like, okay, we'll just kind of dollar cost average. And so we've got 2 years of like, hey, we're just gonna methodically start refinancing these properties, doing cash out, returning money to investors, and all the rest, and just kind of play it that way.
It's a real quandary for us, right now, to refinance with bridge or refinance with conforming, just because who knows if the rates are going to come down. Right. Because when you do conforming debt, you've got stiffed prepayment penalties.
That's right.
Typically they're step down 5%, 4, 3, 2, 1, which are significant amounts of money if you decide you want to refi or sell. But okay. So, I have a lot of listeners that know they need to go out and do something.
Yeah.
And they're listening. They're at a W-2 job. They want to create a better future for themselves and their families. And they like this real estate game. Maybe they've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but they just haven't taken action yet.
Yeah.
Can you speak to them?
Yeah. It's, man, I know probably the advice would be to go out and do it. But I'd qualify that.
Okay.
I mean, I would first of all listen to as much as you can, read as much as you can, listen to podcasts like Rod's, go back and listen to a whole bunch of episodes. Heck, if you
better yet, get your butt to one of my boot camps.
There you go.
Sure. Yeah.
So I definitely get educated. I mean, I feel like right now is a great time. Like over the next 12 months, spend that time getting educated. I feel like the buying opportunity 12 months from now are going to be. I mean, they're starting to get interesting now. Don't get me wrong.
We just closed on a
but I think 12 months
deal,
from now,
a year from now, I think we're going to see some incredible deals.
Exactly.
And I've been screaming that from the rooftop. So you heard it from someone else who obviously knows what they're talking about. But so get educated. Bottom line is get educated. Make sure you can love it. In my opinion, as well.
Sure.
Because when you love what you do, work is play.
Yeah.
Another question I like to ask that I'd love to get your answer to is, in this big journey. I mean, you've been at this now for what, 25 years? What is it? So you said you started in 10? No, not quite.
Well, yeah. I mean, I bought my first one back in 2001.
2001, 25 years or 24 years. You've had a lot of ups and downs. I'm sure you've had a lot of what we call seminars here in this room. I don't like the word failures. You're only a failure if you give up or you don't learn the lesson. But we won't talk about that. But let's talk about any epiphanies that you've had in this journey of yours. I'm assuming one was when you looked at these mobile home park REITs and you're like, holy cow, look at that. These big communities, Sun is huge. And are they still around? Sun and
absolutely.
Yeah, they're still around.
And they're still the big behemoths. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Beyond that, any other aha moments or epiphanies that come to mind in this journey?
Yeah, that's. I'll tell you. I think one thing that I can say with my experience, and this is hopefully doesn't sound trite, but it definitely is about the people.
Oh yeah.
And the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
As we started again, keep in mind. I mean, I went from we had a single family home portfolio and we had little company kind of built around that.
Right.
And then basically cut that, like within 3 months of owning that first mobile home park, I'm like, this is what we're doing. This is all we're doing. And we're going to stop doing everything else that we're doing. So to kind of make that pivot, I lost kind of most of my people. Had in there, also moved from California to Tennessee. I mean, kind of had to start all over. But so it was hard. It was super hard, like going from 500 to 1,000 to 2,000, and just, it's like I didn't have enough management fee coming in to really hire the people that I wanted to hire, that I need, you know, in my, from my perspective, needed to. I had to feed the company for years until finally I could start getting a paycheck and that sort of thing.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and now, you know, we've got enough management fee coming in that where I've got a team that I can come down here to Florida and have this podcast and hang out on the beach and whatever. And it's like, man, things go better when I'm gone. I mean, they all joke about it, but it's
funny.
actually true.
Yeah, I'm sure my team would say the same thing.
Yeah.
But oh God.
But yeah, just kind of surrounding yourself with the people.
Yeah, it's all about the people. And I will tell you, I know, you know, my brother worked with Kevin for a long time and managed all of his parks for a while, and he owns his own parks as well. So he's been heavily in the business. Yeah. And you know, he said that one of the biggest pieces, one of the toughest pieces is, you know, hiring managers at the park level.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because, you know, they have to live there in most cases. Yeah. And so again, you're dealing with a typically not as sophisticated of a demographic, and maybe not even as motivated of a demographic. And, you know, and so it's a real people business at that level as well. And it is for us as well in our apartment complexes. Sure. You know, we live or die by the quality of the on-site property manager. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest, that's the pivotal, you know, hire for that asset. And then of course the regional above them. But you manage all your own assets, or do you use outside management?
Yeah, we do. Right? Yeah, we manage them all. Yeah. And as you know, Rod, that's pretty typical for our business. In your space, it's hard to find third-party managers
that are any good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, you know, this is something that I had to learn kind of the hard way a little bit, but it's from the bird's eye perspective, it kind of looks like, hey, this you're just renting spaces, right? So it should be kind of like operationally pretty easy. Yeah. And it's like, it is, it's basically like we have 106 communities. It's like owning 106 businesses. Oh, sure. I mean, it's
not basically, it absolutely is.
It's operationally quite intensive. And so there's just not a way to do it unless you manage. And you know, there's others that would disagree with that, but our experience has been, especially when you're infilling, you know what I mean? Like some of that activity, that's really hard to outsource. Sure. So we've had to vertically integrate quite a bit.
So you've got movers and all that, I'm sure that.
So we actually have our own construction company, separate company, and we're doing anything from moving homes, setting homes, you know, so doing a lot of home activity. Right. But we're actually, like, these guys are doing full on redoing new sewer lines in an entire community. We finished our first full development in December. Wow. With that group. So it's, you know, they're a very capable group, but that's been part of the whole, not something that I ever thought that I would do or wanted to do was have a construction company. Got it. But it's actually become
kind of a must, honestly, when you get to your size and level and you know, you vertically integrate like that. Certainly, you know, private equity likes to see that for sure. Yeah. And they like to see that vertical integration. We've been looking at that. But interesting. You know, and I know one of the things you have to be careful of if you're buying mobile home parks is the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Especially the water and sewer piece. Yes. And electrical too, if it's really dated, but water and sewer, you know, you'll find these, what do they call them? Those ponds.
The lagoon.
Lagoons.
The blue lagoon. Only they're not blue,
they're
right?
not blue. No, they're, and it's basically a lagoon of you know what. Okay, excrement and it's crazy and you know, and you have to be careful if you've got a big sewer plant in one of them, you know, that goes down. It could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if you've got one well, that could be a big problem.
Absolutely.
You know, and all of that. So there's the infrastructure is something you have to be very, very careful with if you're gonna explore this asset class. In this journey of yours, did you have any mentors? or just do it all yourself?
Yeah, no, definitely not do it myself. I mean, I pause just because it's like, well, yeah, there's
Where do I
Joe
start?
and there's, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And maybe I'll mention Joe McAdams as one of them. Joe, and he's been mentoring me only for the past 4 years or so, but he actually ran the RV division at ELS, which is one of the companies, you know, that's a
Huge,
Sam Zell
huge. Yeah.
company.
Right.
And so it's just been really nice to have somebody like that that is an advisor and can kind of give me some guidance and
Right.
and things like that. But there's
So you believe
a
in
lot
them.
of,
You believe in mentors.
absolutely,
Yeah, me too.
absolutely,
I've got, I mean, I just hung up with one this morning helping me with something, and so I believe in it as well. Well, listen, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you flying down here to join me here, and you've added a lot of value, and very impressed with your success, and I'm sure you've got nowhere to go but up with it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but thanks for coming down here, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
great
Rod.
to meet you.